Hey, what's up, viewers? Patrick from Bob versus Only, back with narrative videos, episode number 1 and number 2 of Men Week on Bob versus of the day. Yesterday's verse came out of Psalm 118, verses 6 through 8, and it says, "The Lord is with me, I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? The Lord is with me, he is my helper. I look in triumph on my enemies. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in humans." And today's verse is 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. And it says, "Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong." And that's that verse means, and let's get into it. The church recap from yesterday. It starts with the book of John in chapter 2. And this is a familiar passage. This is the story of where Jesus turns the water into wine. Starting in verse 1 and reading to verse 11, it says, "On the third day a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, 'They have no more wine.' 'Woman, why do you involve me?' Jesus replied, 'My hour has not yet come.' His mother said to the servants, 'Do whatever he tells you.' Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, 'Fill the jars with water.' So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, 'Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet.' They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from. Though the servants who had drawn the water knew then, he called the bridegroom aside and said, 'Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now.'" What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. In verse 23, it says, this is where Jesus clears the temple courts. "Now, while he was in Jerusalem at the Passover festival, many people saw the signs he was performing and believed in his name. But Jesus would not entrust himself to them, for he knew all people. He did not need any testimony about mankind, for he knew what was in each person." In chapter 6 of the book of John, in verse 14 through 15, it says, "After the people saw the sign Jesus performed, they began to say, 'Surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world.' Jesus, knowing that they intended to come and make him king by force, withdrew again to a mountain by himself." And in the book of John, in chapter 8, in verse 31, it says, "To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, 'If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples.'" And in verse 58 of chapter 8 of John, it says, "Very truly I tell you," Jesus answered, "before Abraham was born, I am." And that's all for the verse portion, and that's going to do for the video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time again, viewers. In every way, God's way is always the best way.